families. At this time, we ask you to please silence all phones and electronic devices. Thank you.
For hours on for the most part, yes. Confusion and for sure. Yes. First one. Yes, sir. Make sure I'm muted. Good or bad? Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. If we could just have everybody please take their seats, we're going to get started in a few minutes. If you would be so kind to also mute your phones, that would be great. Good morning. On behalf of the Drug Enforcement Administration, I would like to welcome our families, friends, colleagues, past and present, and distinguished guests to this memorial service to recognize the DEA Foreign Deployed Advisory and Support Teams, FAST, and our Kabul Country Office, KCO, for their service, dedication, and sacrifice to a greater cause: freedom, justice, and the rule of law. I'm Frank Tarantino, SAC in New York, and I'll be your MC for today. September 11th, 2001, 3 years removed from service with the 75th Ranger Regiment and settled into a new career with the DEA assigned to the New York Division. My day began in the early morning hours in our division office in New York City. Looking forward to a productive meeting at the Eastern District of New York, I began the drive to Brooklyn by turning south onto the West Side Highway. And that's when I saw it. Smoke billowing from One World Trade Center. 1010 Winds Radio was reporting a small commuter plane flew into the North Tower. Marked and unmarked NYPD police cars raced past me. Encountering a wall of police, EMS, and fire personnel at Chambers Street, I was directed east. And that's when the second plane roared overhead and struck 2 World Trade Center. In the wake of the terrorist attacks of September 11th, our nation was shaken to its core. The images, the loss, and the grief remain etched in our memory. But so too does the extraordinary courage that rose from the ashes. Reflecting on that day isn't only about remembering the tragedy, but it is also about recognizing the call to service it awakened in so many, in all of you. Service became a way of healing, of honoring the fallen, of ensuring that light would not be overcome by darkness. Some chose to serve in uniform, defending freedom and protecting our homeland. Many of us in the DEA, we volunteered to join FAST and/or the KCO, both charged with the mission of bringing the fight directly to the narco-terrorists who are facilitating this terror from Afghanistan. Known today as Gen 1 FAST, we were identified and selected in November of 2004 and trained at Fort Benning, Georgia. On April 2nd, 2005, those of us on Alpha and Bravo teams were the first to deploy to Afghanistan. For me, it was 5 years and 6 deployments to Afghanistan, but for the program, it was 12 years, and the KCO even longer. During our deployments, we worked with the British SAS and SBS, the Australian SAS, 3rd and 7th Special Forces Group, the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, SEAL Team 7 and MARSOC, and many others. We conducted air assault operations into the Achin Valley, Baram Chah, and Kandahar City, and Marja, just to name a few. 2 of the most notable, Operation Albatross, where we seized and destroyed over 286 tons of hashish in the Red Desert, and Operation Siege Engine Frago 6, where we seized and destroyed 18 tons of opium, 72 tons of poppy seed, 200 kilograms of heroin, 90 kilograms of morphine, precursor chemicals, Iranian C4, and other IED manufacturing materials. Today, more than 2 decades later, the call to serve remains. But it is a call not bound by time, but renewed each day in the ways we choose to live. When we put others before ourselves, we continue the legacy of resilience and unity born out of that tragic day. Service is our enduring answer to tragedy, a testament that even in our most vulnerable moments, we can rise stronger together. So let us remember with humility and reverence those we lost. Let us honor with gratitude those who served and sacrificed. And let us answer with courage, conviction, and unity the enduring call to service that September 11th awakened in us all. At this time, it is my pleasure to invite DEA Chaplain Reverend Paul Tokel to lead us in the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we give thanks for your presence among us today as we remember a difficult time in our past. You gave the Drug Enforcement Administration and the United States Army a mission to rid our country and our world of evil. In the midst of fulfilling that mission, we were shown that you gave us the best of the best. You sent to us the most courageous and the most committed of your children. Their bravery and sacrifices proved to us that your will of love and service for the innocent still reigns. Help us as we remember the events of October 26, 2009, to know that your agents of justice are with you now, and that our memory of them lives on in their families, their friends, their colleagues, in their stories, and in the following generations of those who have the courage to place their very lives to your service. We pray this in the name of the one who watches over us all. Amen.
If you would please stand and remain standing as we welcome the United States Army 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard, for the presentation of the colors, followed by the national anthem. Please be seated. It is now my honor and privilege to invite our first speaker, a colleague, friend, and former warrior in Afghanistan, our now current DEA Administrator, Mr. Terry Cole. Administrator Cole has devoted more than 3 decades to public service as a police officer, as a DEA agent, and as the Virginia's Secretary of Public Safety and Homeland Security, and now again as the 12th DEA Administrator and the 3rd confirmed DEA agent as such. He has served in the Kabul country office when the office was first established. We worked together in those early years, maybe flew on a few helicopters together. He has led from the front in combating drug cartels and protecting our communities. And today, he leads us in honoring our fallen FAST and KCO members. As one of the earliest members of KCO after 9/11, he understands and feels more than most for these brave heroes and ultimate sacrifice that they made. But here's all you really need to know. Day 2, on his tenure as the new DEA Administrator, he contacted Rich Dobrik, Pat McDarby, and me for a visit to Arlington National Cemetery to visit our fallen and pay tribute. That's how much it matters to him. And that's how much he cares about each and every one of you. Ladies and gentlemen, DEA Administrator Terry Cole.
Frank's going to make me cry right off the bat. But good morning, everybody. Before I recognize our distinguished guest, I want to begin by honoring the families who carry the deepest weight of today's remembrance. Their presence here is a powerful reminder of a sacrifice behind every name etched into this memorial. We are joined by Anna Lehman and Luke. So Luke, I'm going to go off script here. I really enjoyed our conversation yesterday. Your dad would be so proud of you. The men and women of DEA are proud of you. In looking at you, there's no doubt in my mind your dad's legacy lives. And he will never be forgotten. We're honored to have with us Tom Weston, the brother of Special Agent Michael Weston, and Steve and Judy, Michael's mother and stepfather, along with Matthew, who together carry forward Michael's memory with strength and grace. Miss Judy, thank you for our conversation yesterday and again this morning. And there's no doubt that Michael's legacy lives. Thank you for being here. And we're humbled by the presence of Larry, Sharon, and John Mueller, parents and brother of Staff Sergeant Nicholas Mueller of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Their son's courage and service to this nation will never be forgotten. Larry and Sharon, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking this time to talk about your amazing son. His legacy lives. To each of you, your sacrifice is the reason we stand here today. You will always be part of the DEA family. We carry your loved ones in our hearts, in our mission, and in the foundation of this memorial. I want to begin by welcoming you all to this deeply meaningful ceremony and take a moment to recognize several distinguished guests that are with us today. We are honored by the presence of the Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Todd Blanche, Sir, your leadership and support stand as a powerful testament to our shared commitment to honoring the sacrifice of our fallen and carrying forward their legacy. Thank you for supporting DEA and the men and women of law enforcement. We're also honored to welcome Mr. Colby Jenkins, performing the duties of the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations in Low-Intensity Conflict, along with Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense and former DEA agent Mike Blemmy, and Mr. Christopher Landberg, Acting Assistant Secretary of State for INL, and my good friend, Assistant Commissioner James Collins with U.S. Customs and Border Patrol. We're also honored today to be joined by General Randy George, the Chief of Staff of the United States Army. We also recognize Commander Master Chief Bradley Rylander, Senior Enlisted Advisor to the Assistant Secretary for Defense for Special Operations and Low-Intensity Conflict. I would also like to welcome the members of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, as well as the members of the 7th Group, and my new friend, MARSOC Major Josh Glover, who are here with us today. Josh, thank you for sharing those words yesterday with me in my office. They were truly remarkable and special. Your commitment not only to the Marine Corps, but your commitment to the brotherhood here at DEA. And with us also today is Mr. Damon Stevens, Deputy Director of National Counterproliferation and Biosecurity Center, who served alongside Michael Weston in the U.S. Marine Corps as a Judge Advocate General on Legal Team Delta. Ladies and gentlemen, your leadership in safeguarding our nation and supporting those who serve stand as a powerful testament to the values we honor today. To our former administrators, Michelle, Francis, and Steve, thank you for your undying leadership and commitment to DEA. Acting Administrator Maltz, thank you for your service, sir. Tommy, thank you for your commitment. Chief Braun, thank you, sir. And thank you for selecting me to represent our country, not only in Colombia, but in Afghanistan as well. It was an honor to serve under your command, sir. Thank you. And to our international partners that are here, from the Australian Special Operations Command, Major General Garth Gold, Command Sergeant Major Michael Lube, Lieutenant Colonel Hugh Cades, and from the Norwegian Special Forces Command, Major Gert Graves. I want to thank you for your leadership, gentlemen, in your commitment to the United States mission in Afghanistan and around the world. This memorial before us represents far more than wood and steel. It represents courage. It represents sacrifice. It represents the unbreakable spirit of the men and women of DEA who stood on the front lines in Afghanistan. At the Kabul country office, and with our FAST teams, these teams were forged in extraordinary circumstance. They were born of a mission that carried immense risk to pursue drug traffickers, terrorist organizations, and violent networks that threatened the United States, our allies, and the Afghan people. They were not easy assignments. They demanded everything from those who answered the call. Today, we remember 10 fallen heroes, 10 names now etched into history of DEA, etched forever into this memorial. They were more than warriors. They were sons and daughters, friends and teammates. They chose service over self, knowing the risk, but believing the mission was worth everything they had to give. Their loss is deeply felt, but their legacy is internal. It endures in every operation we carry out, in every case we build, and in every life we save from the scourge of drug trafficking and violence. Their courage is now our compass. Their sacrifice is our solemn charge. In the rugged mountains of Afghanistan, they showed the world what it meant to be from the United States government, to wear the DEA badge, relentless, selfless, and unafraid. They worked shoulder to shoulder with our military and allied partners, proving that law enforcement elements, when joined with determination and courage, could strike at those who peddled poison and terror across the globe. We stand here as a family. When one of us falls, we all grieve, but we also rise together. That is what this memorial reminds us of, that while our heroes are gone, their spirits remain with us, pushing us forward, reminding us why we fight and who we fight for. And so today, we do more than mourn. We are inspired. Inspired by their courage, inspired by their devotion, inspired by their belief that this mission was greater than themselves. This memorial is not ending, it's a beginning. It's a promise that their sacrifice will guide us, that DEA will honor them with not just words, but with actions, by standing tall, fighting hard, and protecting the innocent. We remember, we honor, and we carry them forward. God bless our fallen and their families, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to invite up Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche to the podium. He, along with Attorney General Bondi, is a national voice for justice and public safety. He has been a tireless advocate for victims, for law enforcement, and for all who sacrifice to keep this country safe. As a former federal prosecutor in the Southern District of New York, one of our most valued partners, it is a privilege to welcome Deputy Attorney General of the United States, Mr. Todd Blanche.
Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to be here today and share a few words on what is a very special day for everybody in this room. Not planned. So first, again, to the families of the fallen and to the men and the women of the DEA, to our partners in the military and around the world, thank you all for being here today. And I agree with what Terry just said, which is that today isn't the end of something, it's the beginning. And when we use words like never forget, it shouldn't just be a saying in quotation marks. It should be something that is part of our lives every day when it comes to people who have sacrificed their lives, whether it's someone you knew or didn't know, a family member, a loved one, a friend. It's extraordinarily important to never forget, which is what we're doing today. Frank talked about September 11th. Like him, I was also in Lower Manhattan on that morning. I was attending night law school and working in the Southern District of New York at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and was walking from court back to the U.S. Attorney's Office after making a filing. And I remember seeing what ultimately was parts of the World Trade Center just in the air, and there were buildings around the courthouse in Lower Manhattan, so that I didn't have a direct view of the towers, but I saw a ton of debris floating in the air and knew that something horrible had happened. A little while later, I was walking around downtown like many folks that were there that day when the first tower fell. And I was about 3 blocks away. And at that point, I turned to try to get away and was walking over the Brooklyn Bridge when the second tower fell and saw it and stopped to look. And there was, of course, shock and horror, not only with me, but with everybody around me at what we were witnessing. But I very much agree with what Frank said, which is that what was even more, what I'll remember more for the rest of my life than what happened that morning is what happened in the weeks, months, and years afterwards in this country when we saw the call to service, we saw folks come together in ways that in my generation, in my lifetime, we had never seen before. And even that continues to this day. It continues with the reason why we're here today. And so that is, in my mind, part of the legacy of the folks we're honoring today is a call to service and not letting the bad guys win, and that good can triumph over evil, which is what happened on that day. Others have talked about, and Terry talked about it as well, about the amazing work that DEA and the military did in the years to come to combat narco-terrorism, which really had fueled the events of 9/11. And these men and women carried out some of the most dangerous missions imaginable. They deployed into combat zones all over the world, especially in Afghanistan. They faced traffickers, which were really armies, not traffickers, but really armies, terror groups fueled by drug money, which is still happening today, and networks whose violence had no boundaries. And so while certainly they were DEA special agents and members of the military as well, they were not really performing law enforcement functions. They were missions of justice, missions of protection, missions that demanded everything from everyone who answered the call. And the administrator said this a few minutes ago, but it's worth repeating. Everybody who does that, including Frank, including the administrator, know the risks. Their families know the risks. And it's still something that they chose to do when they could have easily chosen another path. And that's important to remember as well. And you know, when I think about it, as I jokingly say to DEA agents that I've worked with, I'm just the dumb lawyer. And it's true, because it's easy to sit behind a desk and talk about what the men and women of the DEA and the military do every day. But we should all remember, those of us in the room that are agents and are members of the military, those of us that aren't, I don't take you for granted. And hopefully folks in this room that are not members of the military or agents feel the same way, because what you all do every day in this country and abroad is something that I've never done. And it's something that we can never forget, and of which we should be very much appreciative. I do think, if you'll indulge me, when I was thinking about today, I didn't know any of the fallen. I'm honored to be here with the families today, but I do want to just say their names out loud, if you'll indulge me, because I think it's worth doing. And I do this with reverence and gratitude, as somebody who represents the Department of Justice, but also as a citizen of this country and somebody who's appreciative of the sacrifice. So from the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, Army Chief Warrant Officer 4, Michael P. Montgomery. Army Chief Warrant Officer 3, Neil D. Lyons. U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Sean H. McNabb. Army Sergeant Jesue A. Hernandez Chavez, E. Hernandez Chavez. Army Sergeant Nicholas A. Mueller. And then from the 7th Special Forces Group, Army Sergeant First Class David E. Metzger. Army Staff Sergeant Keith R. Bishop. And from the Drug Enforcement Administration, Special Agent Forrest N. Lehman. Special Agent Chad L. Michael. And Special Agent Michael E. Weston. These 10 heroes gave their lives in service not only to this country, but in service to everybody in this room as well. And as the administrator said a few minutes ago, their legacy lives not only in stone and steel, but in the work of every agent and their children and their families and every person who continues the mission that they began. And their courage calls us to serve with integrity. So I really, it's an honor to be here and to say a few words to all of you today. And thank you to all the guests that made the trip to come here today. And I'll end with the way I started, which is when you see or hear the words, never forget, make sure they mean something besides just the 2 words, that we never forget the men and women who gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we can all be here, so that we can all be safe. Thank you again, and God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you, sir. Joining us next is the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict, Colby Jenkins. A combat veteran and proven leader, he has dedicated his career to strengthening America's special operations forces and building enduring partnerships, work that resonates deeply with the mission of FAST and the KCO and the rest of DEA across this globe. Please welcome Assistant Secretary Jenkins.
The word emotion is right there. Ladies and gentlemen, what a tremendous honor for me to be here today on behalf of the Department of Defense, and most importantly to the families of those who we honor today. I'm here to tell you that the sacrifices and the service and the lives of those who we honor will never be forgotten. On behalf of the Department of Defense, please know that. On September 11th, 2001, I found myself as a brand new young lieutenant in the infantry on a knee with my platoon locked and loaded, about to go conduct a live fire exercise. When our battalion operations leader came and called my platoon down, told us to stand down and drop our weapons, drop everything. We didn't know what was going on, and he called me into our command post and proceeded to tell me what was transpiring across the country. We were in Hawaii at the time. And from that point forward, life changed forever. Our mission changed. Our reason for being in the military really changed. And that point launched me into a career in the special operations. One thing I've learned through my career in special operations is that teammates and brotherhood and service and some of the hardest places, the garden spots of the world, are what keep you alive, are what matter. And I've met teammates who've sacrificed, who've given their lives, and who've been with me in difficult moments that I will never forget, never ever forget. And that's why I'm so humbled and honored to be here today to make sure that message lands and resonates from the Department of Defense, and by extension, all of us in the business of defending our nation. As a Green Beret, I've had the opportunity to serve in 7th Special Forces Group, so this ceremony today and this remembrance has a special connection to me even more, as we lost our brothers as well with our other teammates on that fateful day. I've had the opportunity to serve in Afghanistan, where I served with DEA teammates. I've had the opportunity to serve in Paraguay, where I served with DEA teammates. I had the opportunity to serve in Colombia, the jungles of Colombia. I'd rather be in Afghanistan than Colombia, frankly, where I served with some of your toughest DEA agents. And at each opportunity, They've lifted me up. They've saved my life. They've helped me be a better man, a better Green Beret, and a better American. In this opportunity that I'm serving now, I've had the privilege of joining Secretary Hegseth on different occasions. And one opportunity, we visited our Delta Force, our Special Mission Unit. And as part of that visit, we got to visit their memorial garden, where each name, each person that they've lost is memorialized. And what a somber opportunity to visit and remember there. A few weeks ago, I had the opportunity to visit our SEAL Team 6 brothers and sisters. And what's common there as well is a memorial garden where they remember their fallen. And the common thread throughout our most elite units to any unit is we always remember. We always remember. And that's what's important today, that I hope our families will always remember, that your loved ones will never be forgotten. And I hope that as you depart today, you'll take an opportunity to shake as many hands as possible in here, including mine, and take strength from those handshakes. And know that the love that's transferred, the appreciation that's transferred, is genuine and is meant to be a part of your foundation. Because what you've lost, we've gained through that sacrifice and service, and it must be returned to you. One thing I'll never forget, during my time in Colombia, part of our role there and working with the DEA and other agency partners was to rescue our 3 Americans that were held captive for nearly 6 years. Later, after their rescue, I had the opportunity to meet one of the hostages, Keith Stanzel, who was held in terrible conditions. And as he learned the role of my team in helping get close to their rescue, he gave me a hug I've never forgotten. And he said, "Colby, I stayed alive for those 5+ years every day because I knew someone like you was coming to get me. Each day I stayed alive and woke up because I knew someone was coming to get me." And that's what we're here to remember today, the service of those who have sacrificed it all because they never stopped on our behalf. May we never forget. And on behalf, again, of the Department of Defense, as a 7th Group alum, please know that their sacrifice, the sacrifice of those that we are honoring today, will never be forgotten. And on behalf of the humble Jenkins family especially, please accept our love, our appreciation, and my handshake on behalf of your sacrifice. Thank you. May God bless you and those that you love as well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is now my honor and privilege to invite up former Administrator Michelle Lienhart. Before I do, I just have to talk about her for a second. You know, she guided us through some of the most difficult times, some of the most difficult years, especially during our fight in Afghanistan. She was with us that day on October 28th in 2009, when that plane arrived at Dover Air Force Base. She welcomed us home, and she attended every funeral, and she still represents at every single memorial service because she cares. She is somebody that cares so much that she joined us in 2023, very recently, as did Mr. Braun, to go through a healing process for the FAST Wellness Retreat in San Diego. We thank her and Mr. Braun for that. So it is my honor to welcome up former Administrator Michelle Lienhart.
Well, it's my great honor to participate in this very important memorial dedication ceremony. I can't tell you how good it feels to be home at DEA. Deputy Attorney Blanche, I want to thank you for being here Your presence today shows your respect for DEA's mission and the dedicated men and women of DEA, past and present. Assistant Secretary of Defense Colby Jenkins, I loved your remarks. Thank you for being here. DEA has benefited greatly from the very close relationships formed with DoD leaders and teams during Operation Enduring Freedom, and we are grateful for the service of the 7 DoD partners who lost their lives alongside Chad, Mike, and Forrest. Thank you to the museum staff who made this exhibit possible. We are so thrilled to be able to be here today and remember the sacrifices of our DEA and DoD partners. Mike Braun, thank you. It was a long time ago. Mike Braun came into my office with an idea about this FAST program, and look what it became. Thank you, Mike, so much. DEA has a noble legacy of never forgetting its heroes. That is woven into our agency's culture. And I heard about it from the very first day at the DEA Academy and saw it lived every day of my 34-year DEA career. Today, we are doing just that to honor the extraordinary dedication, patriotism, and courage of DEA Special Agents Chad Michael, Forrest Lehman, and Michael Weston, and our 7 DoD partners who lost their lives on a narcoterrorism mission in Afghanistan on October 26, 2009. Their families have become precious members of the DEA family, and we are grateful for the heroic sons that they raised. There were never any words that we could offer to take away the pain, but we could keep our promise to remember the remarkable lives their loved ones lived. And thank you, Administrator Cole, for allowing us to keep our promise. It is great seeing Mike Weston's family here, his mother Judy and Steve and Matt, brothers Matt and Tom. We miss Mike's wicked smartness and his adventurous nature. We're glad you're here. When we lost Forrest, Anna was pregnant with child. And 6 months later, we all felt like proud new parents when Luke was born. And Luke, we are so glad you and your mom are here with us today. Your dad was a great agent, and we knew he would be a great father. We miss him. Chad's family is in our hearts today, and we miss Chad's humor and his good nature and all his pranks. The Mueller family is here. Thank you for your sacrifice. We feel you're part of our DEA family. DEA made a commitment to you to never forget your loved ones, and we never will. Whether it is through scholarships in their names or park benches dedicated to them in their hometowns, we remember Chad, Mike, and Forrest. We add the names of our fallen DoD heroes to this memorial because they died supporting DEA's important mission. These heroes paid the ultimate price for love of country. Love of country. They served their country in the global war on terror in the aftermath of 9/11, and they never made it back. But this memorial is also about the brave DEA men and women who served with them in Afghanistan, and so many of you are here today. These DEA patriots volunteered to serve on DEA's FAST teams and at the Kabul country office, and they are overdue for recognition and recognition that they truly deserve. Drug law enforcement is dangerous, and it's hard enough working on the streets of our country, so you can imagine what it's like, the sheer bravery to do drug enforcement in a war zone. I had the privilege of being the deputy administrator and then the DEA administrator when the first FAST teams hit the ground in Afghanistan and when the Kabul country office was reopened. By the time I left DEA, we had over 100 DEA personnel in Afghanistan, and there was nothing more important for us than keeping them safe and giving them the support they needed to be successful in their mission. And they were very successful. My partner, Tom Harrigan, and I are grateful to the strong leadership, the leadership of Mike Marsack, Craig Wiles, Rich Dobrik, and so many others who were there at the helm. We will never forget that night at Dover. I will never forget the candid conversations with so many of you. I will never forget meeting the families for the first time. And I remember how you encouraged us to continue the FAST program, and we did. We will never forget your heroic actions 2 years later that helped save the life of Special Agent Joe Piersante. You inspired me then and every day that I was your administrator. And my admiration and respect for each of you has only grown since retiring 10 years ago. When the history books are written about DEA, the sacrifices of FAST and the Kabul country office personnel will have their own chapter. My hope is that the new DEA leadership, a team of agents who know both the legacy and the potential of FAST, will consider how to use a FAST program in these new threats that we face. And finally, I just want to say, God bless each of you, God bless the families, and God bless DEA. Thank you.
Our next speaker could be considered the mastermind or the architect behind the FAST program, as Administrator Leonhardt just mentioned. A former member of Operation Snowcap, along with Rich Dobrik, former Navy SEAL, Mr. Braun saw the value in developing a team of investigators that had the tools and the abilities and the mindset to go into harm's way. And somebody that has done so much in his career, his leadership and personal experience shaped these teams into one of DEA's proudest legacies. If you go into that building across the street, they all know about the FAST program. They still talk about their operations in Afghanistan with the FAST teams in the Kabul country office. That's the legacy that you helped establish. He too, as I mentioned, was with us in San Diego, and it's so important that the leadership team meet us at that most vulnerable moment to help heal those who need it and to support us, because the future is bright, and we thank you for that. So please welcome Mr. Mike Braun.
Yeah, I start with size 18 font and a pair of cheaters. Okay, that's what happens when you get as old as I am. Administrator Cole, thank you for the invitation to participate in this important memorial event. Families of the fallen, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't take this the wrong way, and this is off script. Please don't take this the wrong way, especially you, Michelle. But you have lost your knack for getting me choked up right before I have to come to a podium and make some comments, okay? So hopefully I can make it through this thing. Listen, the war in Afghanistan required a uniquely unified government approach. The DEA and U.S. Army Special Forces personnel we honor today were modern-day warriors operating on a modern-day battlefield when they made the ultimate sacrifice for our country. They played an important role in that unified effort. Let me provide some broad historical context that brought them together on that fateful day. In 1979, DEA was forced to literally flee Afghanistan in the dead of night because the Soviet Union had invaded and they had placed a price tag on every DEA agent's head. However, DEA remained engaged like they always do. They worked Afghanistan from the outside in, up until the time we invaded the country in 2001. They worked it from the outside in from a number of different DEA agencies throughout the region, actually interconnected around the world, which is one of the most important points to make about the importance of DEA foreign operations and all of those offices that are out there. By 2003, DEA had reconstituted its office in Kabul with 2 agents. I take that back, 1 agent and 2 TDY agents. Pretty meager presence. By 2004, there was undeniable evidence. The Taliban and certain elements of Al-Qaeda were becoming more heavily involved in virtually every aspect of the Afghan heroin trade. Why? To keep their movements alive, to fund their operations, because the trade was generating literally hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Not long after, several agencies in our national security apparatus were calling for an increased presence of DEA in Afghanistan. Why? Because many, including the Special Forces community, had worked with DEA in austere locations around the world. Assistant Secretary Jenkins, thank you for your comments with respect to your experiences. I was going to go through a list of austere places that we had worked together. You covered that one for me, which is going to save everyone in here a little bit of time. But thank you for recognizing that. But they had worked with DEA in a lot of different locations, and they knew what DEA would bring to the fight, especially in a country that was producing at the time 90% of all of the heroin that was consumed in the world. By early 2006, DEA intelligence had already thwarted several attacks on strategically important targets in the country, including at least 3 attacks, as I remember, Tommy and Michelle and Rich and others, on the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, the NATO compound just down the road, the airport, other places, other strategic targets all across the country. And how was DEA doing this? Okay? By doing what they do best, staying focused on their counter-narcotics mission, principally, identifying, investigating, and bringing to justice the world's most notorious drug trafficking organizations and narco-terrorist groups. Just doing their jobs. In 2006, the Operations Division developed and implemented a plan to bolster DEA's presence in Afghanistan, as directed by Administrator Tandy, but Michelle Leonhardt's fingerprints were all over that directive as well. Thank you, Michelle. You made the right call. So did Karen. The advent or the genesis of FAST were those two agents, or excuse me, the one agent and two part-time agents that were manning the DEA office in late 2003, moving into 2004, were already collecting and producing tremendous intelligence that was literally saving lives. The problem that we had was we couldn't get out to remote areas of the country to collect, to follow up leads, collect additional evidence, et cetera. FAST was born out of that. That's how they came about. The plan that we put together, though, in 2006 consisted really of two components. I don't want to oversimplify things, but the Kabul country office, and don't let me mislead you, because the folks that were responsible for reporting to the Kabul country office were also working, had a number of regional commands, provisional commands around the country, not just the Kabul office. They were responsible for conducting the highly sophisticated, very dangerous investigations targeting, again, narco-terrorist and drug trafficking organizations. That was one component. The second component was, and the second component was already in place, okay, were the FAST teams, but we needed more than two, okay? We needed at least 5, okay? That had been specially trained, or that had been specially trained by the U.S. Special Forces, and that could deploy with them to the field, and that they would feel comfortable deploying with to collect that evidence and intelligence that drove those investigations even further. In closing, Chad, Forrest, and Mike and their 7 SF partners are part of this important history, as well as the DEA and Special Forces legacies. They live on. The 10 brave souls we pay tribute to today perished together. It's only fitting they be venerated together for many, many, many years to come. And I can't think of a better place or a more fitting place than the DEA Museum. Terry, Administrator Cole, thank you for making that decision to stand up this memorial that we're here to talk about today. In closing, just let me close with 3 simple wishes. That God forever embrace those that we're here to honor today and the families and loved ones they left behind. That God shield our law enforcement and military personnel who are in harm's way as we speak around the world and right there out on those streets, working hard to keep us safe. And finally, may God continue to bless the United States of America. May we always remain the land of the free, the home of the brave. As long as our nation produces heroes that we are here to memorialize today, we will. We'll remain the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I said this a lot today. I'm going to say it again. It's an honor and a privilege to invite up the next speaker, who's also a dear friend and a colleague. I talked about him a little bit earlier, and I mentioned it because it's valuable. As a former Navy SEAL, but also a member of SNOWCAP, and as an investigator, he brought those skill sets to the FAST program, but he also brought his leadership. As one of the first, I think, Mike Marzek's in the room, FAST members to be elevated to the SES ranks. He was the regional director of the Andean Division and again, one of the architects behind Operation Siege Engine Fraggle 6. So I have to tell a real quick anecdotal story. I get a call from Rich. I'm going to replace his team, and we're not due to rotate in until about a month. And he calls me. I need to show up 3 weeks early because he's got this great thing he wants to tell me about. And it turns out that I land in Kabul and then quickly down to Kandahar and into the skiff, and we're going to get into a 4-day firefight in Marja. That was his great idea. It's awesome. But Rich is somebody that really brought the program to another level. Again, his experience, his knowledge, but his humility. That's one of his greatest attributes. He won't tell you this, but he's a DEA Purple Heart recipient for his courage, for his sacrifice, for his leadership in FAST. So it's my honor to welcome up Rich Dobrik.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I want to recognize the families of the fallen. Anna and Luke, so great to have you here. Judy and Steve, Matthew, the family of Sergeant Mueller, thank you for being here. I don't know if this is being live streamed or if Deborah and Leo Hartz are watching, Chad's mom and stepdad, but obviously we're here to pay tribute to them. Thank you to all the speakers, Dag Blanche, ASD Solik, Chris Lambert from INL, the former administrators. Thank you to the current administrator, Terry Cole. Thank you for the invitation and your leadership in putting this together. It's super appreciated. FAST in the Kabul country office really were forged in the crucible of battle. Afghanistan was a combat zone. I think we used to memorize some phraseology that went something in the order of, no, we're doing investigations, or we're doing law enforcement in a combat environment. Yeah, we were pretty much being shot at and given back better than we got. It was combat. It was a global effort. We had the privilege as an agency to be in the best company of U.S. Special Operations Forces, all of them, all services, ISAF, otherwise known as NATO, the Kiwis, the Brits, the Australians, so many just incredible operators that both the FAST teams and the Kabul country office got to learn from. Great mentorship. All of our successes as an agency, no matter where we hung our hat at night, really credit is due to the plank owners, the people who set the foundation, people like Mike Marsack, people like Nick Brook, people from headquarters who made it possible, people like Will DeShazo, people like John Steck, may he rest in peace, Yolanda Cotton, so many others, the people from OGE. You know, finding the pipe hitters is the easy part. The hard part is making that machine work, and it was a unified effort. Like so many other conflicts in the past, the DEA contribution to Afghanistan was made possible by the partnerships with the Department of Defense, Department of State, specifically INL, and the entire interagency, and it was teamwork. Michelle mentioned Joe Persani, but I would like to ask Joe Persani to stand and be recognized. Joe, where are you at, buddy? Joe's a national treasure. He's the symbol of perseverance. Small data point, I'm actually Joe's biceps coach. I mean, I'm just saying. Some of us have maybe invisible injuries, and that's why the post-traumatic growth sessions were so meaningful. And I would just throw this out there: if any of us knows a brother or sister that might be hurting on the inside, don't let that person swim alone. They need a swim buddy, and be there for them, as they would be there for you. Michael Weston, wow. Sort of a modern-day cross between Marco Polo and Marcus Aurelius. I would not recommend anybody try to put yourself up to that measuring stick. Mike was an incredible Marine, an incredible DEA agent, an incredible human, and just an amazing person. He really is the definition of remarkable. I talked about remarkable a little bit last night. Remarkable is just sort of another day at DEA, but he was really the definition. Chad Michael, just a gregarious spirit, super talented operator that people would just love to have on their team. Sorely missed. He sort of blew the cover in my neighborhood. We had a party after our training session that was mentored by Operational Detachment Alpha and ODA. So we had the culmination party at my house because I live near AP Hill. So I don't know what the statute of limitations in OPR are, so close your ears. So yeah, so he pretty much shows up, and then they have to use all of my golf shirts because we're going to some place that required a collar. But Chad had driven his G-Ride to my house, and yes, he did leave code 3, lights and sirens, and so I got some strange looks from then on, cutting the grass. I think, we thought you were a dentist. Anyways, and Forrest Lehman, wow, a really thoughtful and committed teammate. Highly intelligent, as witnessed by his decision to ask Anna's hand in marriage. Super smart man. I was in combat with Forrest, Luke. I served alongside your dad, and he was brave, and he did not flinch in front of danger. He was someone that I was proud to call a brother, and his bravery and skill were second to none. Your father was a very good man, and he undoubtedly is looking down from heaven, and extremely proud of the young man that you are now. And I'm sure he's beaming with pride. Luke, we had this conversation last night. Your job is to stay on the straight and narrow, do what mom says, do well in school, and the DEA Survivors Benefit Fund has got your college covered. We got your back, my friend. Thank you, everyone. God bless America.
Thank you, Rich. So it's now my pleasure to invite up Chief of Operations Matt Allen, also a friend, but also a member of the Kabul Country Office, like Administrator Cole and like many others in this room, understood the value and importance of teamwork. And the one thing that would always resonate with me, and that I know means a lot to Matt, is that the Kabul Country Office and FAST agents had the same badge. And because we had the same badge, we believed in the same things. And we worked side by side, fighting that fight. And Matt was right there with us. So it's my honor to invite up Matt to give a few words.
Man, Rich, I thought I was going to get through this okay. Good morning, everyone. I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank the families. I want to thank our former comrades. I want to thank just everybody that turned out to pay tribute to these people. I want to thank Administrator Cole for making this happen. He will humbly tell you that it was everybody else that made it happen, but you said yes and you pushed it and it's happening. So thank you for that. It's a long time overdue. It's my humble and sincere honor to stand before you today, not as DEA's Chief of Operations, but as someone who worked alongside of, shared meals, shared missions, shared memories with the men that we honor today. Afghanistan was not just another posting. It was a war zone, a place where sometimes the line between law enforcement and military blurred, where every day meant stepping into harm's way in one form or another, whether it was going on a capture mission or just simply driving to the airport. Our mission in Afghanistan was never easy. FAST and KCO teams went into the most remote and dangerous corners of the world to dismantle the drug trafficking networks that were funding the insurgency and funding terrorism around the world. We hunted traffickers armed with rockets and machine guns. We partnered with our military brethren, often stepping off helicopters in the middle of the night into enemy-infested valleys and mountain ranges, the names of which are long forgotten to most of the American public. It was relentless work, and even the simplest things like getting a meal, a shower, or a little bit of sleep sometimes were uncertain. R&Rs, they were rare, but when you finally got one, it was like being pulled out of another world and being dropped back into normal life, if only for a moment. Which leads me to this. I want to share something with you that's never really left me. You see, I worked on planning this mission with Mike, and I will, sorry. I'll never forget seeing the photographs that we received from an informant about the target. I remember how excited we both were, especially Mike, about identifying such a viable target. In those days, it was taking a while to get air support for missions, so we had to wait our turn. And during that time, my R&R came up on rotation. So I submitted my paperwork, and ARD Jay Fitzpatrick came and found me, and he said, "What's this?" I said, "It's my R&R paperwork, sir." And he goes, 5 days? He goes, "Take you 20 hours to get home, man." And I said, "Well, we just got greenlit for that mission, so I thought I would get back." He said, "Come on." He said, "Listen, you're going to be here a long time. There's going to be dozens of these opportunities. Go home." So I did. And as such, I woke up on the morning of October 27th in Huntington Beach, California. I remember I was sitting by myself, enjoying a cup of coffee and the beautiful sunrise in Southern California. And I went to check my phone. And there was a message on my phone from one of my friend's wives on the East Coast, 3 hours out of us. And it simply said, "Matt, I'm so sorry to hear about your friends." I remember staring at those words. I flipped open my computer, went to a news source, and there it was plastered across the screen. DEA agents killed in Western Afghanistan. In that moment, I knew. I didn't know the names yet, but I knew it was our guys because I knew where they were going. So after several frantic unanswered phone calls, I finally reached Matt Keller, and he told me who it was. The world stopped for a minute, my heart sank. I was thousands of miles away, and I never felt so helpless. Among those we lost, heroes all, was my good friend, Special Agent Mike Weston. Mike was the kind of person that you wanted next to you in all the tough moments. Steady, sharp, quiet determination. A humble man with a Harvard Law degree who, prior to joining DEA, enlisted in the Marine Corps because he wanted to carry a rifle and chase down America's enemies. His only demand to the Marine Corps recruiter was he wanted to go to Parris Island because he heard it was harder than the other one in San Diego. Incredibly strong bonds were formed between our people and DEA and the soldiers, the Marines, and the sailors that we worked alongside of. We had the honor of working alongside of. As a matter of fact, not long before this tragic mission, Green Beret Keith Bishop, not to be confused with the DEA Keith Bishop, had come back to Kabul with us to the NIU, along with another one of the MARSOC operators to put on a 240 machine gun class for a few days. And, well, I tell you this, Major Glover, I'm not sure where you're at, but Major Glover and former regional director MARSOC, we just kind of came up with those little things to get guys back to Kabul to drink beer for a few days and have fun. But the loss of everyone, the loss of our friends, the loss of our coworkers, the loss of the people that we work beside of, from DEA, from 7th Special Forces Group, from the 160th Special Operations Aviations Regiment, it tore a hole in each of our communities that never really fully heals. But it also binds us together in a way that time can't erase. The work of FAST and KCO could be hard and brutal, but it mattered. It mattered, Michelle. And it saved lives. It also set a standard of courage that continues to guide DEA today. To the families of the fallen, please know this: we remember. We carry their names, their stories, and their sacrifices with us every single day. And as long as there are men and women willing to wear this badge and raise their right hand, your loved ones will never be forgotten. On October 26, 2009, 10 American heroes gave their lives in the mountains of Afghanistan. 3 of them were ours. Today we say their names, we honor their sacrifice, and we promise to continue the mission that they began. Thank you.
It is my honor to invite up my friend, somebody we've known each other for a long time. We went to infantry officer basic course together. We were in the DEA New York division together. We joined FAST together, and we find ourselves back here again. New times, new horizons. Pat McDarby is the quintessential quiet professional. He won't tell you all the amazing things he's done in his lifetime. He won't tell you the pain that he has physically and emotionally. You know, see, Pat was one of the survivors of that helicopter crash. And for that, he was given the DEA Purple Heart. But you'd never know it, because that's the humble man that sits before you. That's the man that is going to take us into the future. For all of you former FAST and KCO members, there's a lot of opportunity and bright future ahead of us because of people like Pat. So it's my honor and privilege to invite Pat up to tell his story. Pat.
All right. Good morning and welcome, family, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today as we gather to honor 10 incredible men and women. Men that made the ultimate sacrifice on October 26, 2009. This is a day of remembrance, but is also a day of reflection on their courage, their mission, and what their service means to all of us. I first want to thank Administrator Cole. Thank you very much for your leadership, ensuring that this event took place today. Like Frank mentioned, your second day in office, that phone call, it was very meaningful. And it meant a lot to me, and it meant a lot to all of the DEA world and all of our brothers and sisters in FAST and KCO, everybody, because I spread the word, and I know Frank did as well, and I spoke to Rich, and we really appreciate it. I also want to thank Shanaz Varghese and her team for putting this together. We know what it takes to put this. So Thank you very much. Yes. Like Frank, on September 11, 2009, I was driving down the Belt Parkway, headed into work, like Frank. But unlike Frank, he was listening to 1010 Wins, I was listening to Howard Stern. And we heard the same news. I thought it was a prank that Howard Stern was playing about a plane hitting the towers. And so I just continued driving and finally made it to work after traffic and everything else. And then you realize what had happened and the effect. So at that moment on, I knew I wanted to do something else in addition to just being an agent. And all of us, I know Frank, myself, we worked with the FBI, worked with other agencies, combing warehouses endlessly, tirelessly. It got tiring. And then years went on, and all of a sudden we hear this program called the FAST program, the Foreign Deployed Advisory and Support Team, which the D was always silent, but Mr. Braun, thank you for that. And I said, I really want to do this. And a really quick story, I was in Bogota at the time. I was doing a year-long TDY in Bogota. It's when I first met Mr. Cole. And there was a group of guys down there, one in particular, his name was Carson Ulrich. He was like a ringleader, and he said, hey, let's all, Mr. Braun's putting together this program. I really want to have all of us, join up. And I said, well, let me back up for a second. I just got back from a year-long deployment with the Army. I was recalled back to active duty, so I was in Afghanistan for a year. I came back, and now I'm in Bogota. And he said, hey, we're all going to get together. We're putting together this team. Let's go do it. And I said, well, there's a spot in Bogota I put in for, and I want to, come here. There's a lot of stuff we're doing with the jungle groups and all, and I really wanted to do that. And he's like, no, you have to put in everything. We're all putting in. There's going to be a whole crew of us. So I said, all right, let's put in. There was probably 8 of us that put in. However, there was only one person selected for the fast period, me. Everyone else said, oh, sorry, Pat, you're going. So I said, all right. Nevertheless, it ended up being a really great decision, the best decision I've ever made. I am greatly honored to be speaking here today on behalf of DEA FAST, family, and all the leaders that were involved in Operation Lexington, specifically Josh Glover, who was the ground force commander that day, Jeremy Valdez, U.S. Army Special Forces, that was on the helicopter with us as well, Dave King, Dave Clausen, Andy Harris, Sean Gavigan, Edwin Rodriguez, Aaron Padgett, Mark Lee, and the entire joint team. And then our FAST brothers who weren't with us, Dave Zahn, Scott Cohen, and Carson Ulrich as well, that were in Kandahar at that time. I witnessed firsthand the character, commitment, and the courage of these 10 brave men we honor today. These warriors, along with all of us, came from different uniforms, different agencies, different names, the Night Stalkers, Green Berets, Devil Dogs, FAST, KCO, the cops, the agents, and then some other terms of endearment that the SEALs would give us, but that's for a different conversation. But these brave men we honor today, along with all of us, shared one single purpose: to protect our nation and dismantle the networks that threaten its security. They understood that the fight against terrorism and drug trafficking, back then, Taliban, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and now today, Sinaloa, CJNG, is one of the same fight, problem set, war, or whatever word you want to describe it. And they willingly stood on the front lines together with all of us to take on that challenge. On that day in Farah Province, their actions spoke louder than words. They confronted danger without hesitation, knowing all the risks, as we mentioned earlier. They understood that the enemy we faced, the cartels, the traffickers, the terrorists, funded violence and destruction that reached far beyond Afghanistan. These men believed in a mission bigger than themselves, and for that they gave everything. What made Op Lexington and so many other missions like it possible was collaboration and teamwork. The DEA and the U.S. military have a storied history of working side by side across continents, as we talked about earlier, in war zones, and also in the shadows, to take down those who traffic in drugs and death. We brought different capabilities to the fight: air mobility, guerrilla warfare, specialists, and law enforcement experts. And when we combined, we formed a team that the enemy just couldn't withstand. The partnership we built between our U.S. military, specifically our Special Operations Forces, and the DEA are created not from people like Ms. Lanehart, Mr. Braun, sitting around barbecues and saying, hey, why don't we come up with these crazy ideas or some ideas. Partnerships were made that were very strategic, but essential to fight the challenges we face. And the men we honor today embody that truth. Their legacy is not measured only by the enemy they defeated or their expertise, but by the example they set of unity, of courage, and an unwavering resolve. Today, as we unveil this memorial, let it stand as a lasting reminder that freedom is never free. It is secured by men and women who are willing to risk everything for others. Before I close, I want to emphasize what I mentioned earlier. Although we come from different backgrounds, cultures, military, law enforcement, we all share the same values as Americans. We're not just a bunch of guys who work together, train together. We were then, we are now, and we'll always be family. In closing, to the families of the fallen heroes, know this: we will never forget their sacrifice. We will never stop telling their story. We will continue the mission they gave their lives for with the same determination, the same unity, and the same belief in a stronger, safer United States of America. Thank you. I would now like to invite the speakers, all of our speakers and the families of the fallen, to the stage for unveiling of the memorial.
Did I have you off? Did I fuck you up? No. Good job. Thank you.
roses. Let me have the other roses. Josh. Josh. Can I have the roses? We can take as many as we want out of here. Terry. Terry. Warren? It's okay. It's okay. It's all good. I'm sorry. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, sit down. Or stand.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a moment of silence to honor the lives of the fallen. You got it.
You may be seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Administrator of the Drug Enforcement Administration, Terrence C. Cole, I am honored to be the piper selected to offer our honor. As I hear the calling of the pipes and the tattoo of the drums echoing in the hills, I will answer the call and I will stand the line. And if I am to be taken before you, you should know this, that I will fight till my death. These warriors have laid down their swords and have made the ultimate sacrifice protecting us. You should know this, that their brothers, their sisters, their sons and daughters will pick up that sword and continue the fight. For evil and anarchy shall not prevail as long as we stand the line. Let us remember those warriors who gave the ultimate sacrifice protecting us. Let us remember we carry their swords. Right? Quick march.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this ceremony, I want to thank you for standing with us and remembering the 10 heroes whose names will forever be displayed on the memorial here at DEA headquarters. In a moment, we're going to invite our families, our friends, and our guests, distinguished guests, to come forward and take some photos here in front of the memorial. Those who also wish to take a photo, if you could just please kindly stay off to the side until we can do it with the families, and then you can come forward. We also ask you to join us in the cafeteria for a reception after the service and the DEA Museum is open. May the memories of the fallen heroes continue to guide us, direct us, give us hope. We will never forget. Thank you for being here.